I should have known something was off the moment I pulled into the driveway. Brand new house, white fence, peaceful street, the kind of place folks dream about retiring in. Birds chirping, kids on bikes, neighbors waving to each other with lemonade in their hands. I thought I made it. Thought I finally found peace. Boy, was I wrong. My name's Andre Williams. I'm 32. Software engineer. Worked my tail off for over a decade to afford this place, four-bedroom colonial out in Westbrook Heights. Nice little gated suburb just outside the city. I moved in on a Tuesday. Quiet, chill. Thought I'd unpack, maybe meet a few neighbors. That's when I met her. She was already staring when I stepped out of the moving truck. Blonde bob haircut, oversized sunglasses, tight little jogging suit like she just walked out of a Stepford Wives reboot. She was standing in front of her porch across the street, clutching a tiny dog like it might explode. And she didn't blink. Not once. At first, I figured maybe she was just nosy. New people moving in, probably scoping me out. So I waved. Just being polite. She didn't wave back. Instead, she turned and walked into her house like I just committed a crime by existing. Didn't think too much of it yet. Next morning, I'm unloading the last few boxes from my SUV when I hear this sharp voice behind me. You lost. I turn around and, yep, it's her. Same sunglasses. Same sour expression. That little dog trembling in her arms like it knows what's coming. No, I say, keeping it cool. Just moved in. This is my place. She gives a tight-lipped smile. Oh, interesting. I didn't see a for sale sign. Did you? Rent it or something? That was her tone. You know the one. Sweet on the surface, but dipped in poison. No, I said. I bought it. Long pause. Her smile twitched, just a little. Well, we like to keep things quiet around here, she said, scanning me up and down. No loud music, no wild parties. This isn't that kind of neighborhood. Noted, I said. Appreciate the warm welcome. Then I turned and walked back into my house, heart racing, but trying not to show it. Later that evening, I heard sirens. Didn't think they had anything to do with me until I opened the front door and saw two cop cars parked outside. Two officers step out. One of them's already got his hand on his holster. Sir, we got a call about a suspicious individual entering this home. Do you live here? My stomach dropped. You've got to be kidding me. I show them my ID, my mortgage papers, even the key in the lock. They eventually back off, but not before one of them mutters, neighbors are just looking out for the community. Looking out? No, they weren't looking out. They were looking down. From that moment on, I knew I wasn't just a new face in the neighborhood. I was a target. And that was just day one. After that whole cop situation, I tried to stay calm. Tried to brush it off like it was just some misunderstanding. But let's be real. When you're a black man in a mostly white neighborhood and the police show up day one, that's no coincidence. I knew it was her. And I wasn't wrong. Over the next few days, I noticed things. Little things. Every time I stepped outside, even just to grab my mail, her blinds would shift. Just a little. Like someone pulled them back an inch and let them snap shut. She was watching me. When I went for a jog, she happened to be walking her dog on the same sidewalk. When I mowed my lawn, she called out, "You're using the wrong setting on your mower. Lady, I've been cutting grass since I was 12. Then came the garbage incident. It was Friday morning. Trash pickup day. I wheel out my bin like everyone else, and an hour later, I swear to God, it's tipped over. Trash everywhere. I walk out annoyed, thinking maybe the wind knocked it over. Then I see her, standing at the edge of her lawn, arms crossed, little rat dog yapping at my mess. She shakes her head and says loud enough for me to hear, "Some people just don't know how to live in a civilized neighborhood." That's when I pulled out my phone and started recording. Didn't say anything. Just looked at her through the screen. Her smile faltered. "Excuse me," she said. "What are you doing?" "Just making sure I remember all the welcoming things my neighbors say." She turned red, like cherry tomato red, then stormed back into her house. Now, you think maybe she'd back off after that. Nope. That weekend, I had 2 friends over. Just 2. We sat on the back patio, grilled some burgers, had music on low. not even loud enough to disturb ants. Sunday morning, I wake up to find a note taped to my front door. In block letters, it said, "This is a peaceful community. Take your ghetto noise back to where it belongs." I didn't know whether to laugh or flip. Instead, I took a picture of the note. Then I filed a complaint with the HOA. Now here's where it gets interesting. I expected them to ignore me or side with her. That's usually how it goes in these kind of neighborhoods, right? But apparently, Karen had a reputation. Turns out, this wasn't her first complaint. Though a guy spoke to Mr. Delaney, he told me off the record that she's been calling in complaints about people for years. "You're not the first person she's tried to chase out," he said. And then he lowered his voice and added, "But you might be the first person smart enough to document it." That's when I realized something. This wasn't just about surviving in that neighborhood anymore. This was about exposing her. And maybe, just maybe, getting justice in the most unexpected way. Because what Karen didn't know was who I really was. And I hadn't even started fighting back yet. I gave it a week. No complaints. No cops. No notes. I figured maybe Karen was licking her wounds, regrouping. But I also knew she wasn't done. People like her never stop. They just get sneakier. So I got sneakier too. I installed security cameras, front yard, backyard, doorbell, even a tiny one pointed at the side of the house. Nothing obvious. Nothing flashy. Just enough to catch whatever she tried next. And sure enough, she couldn't help herself. It started small. She'd let her dog accidentally poop on my lawn. Every morning. Like clockwork. Never picked it up. Then one night, I caught her on camera tossing something into my trash bin. I checked it in the morning. Raw chicken. Old food. Rotten eggs. I guess she wanted raccoons or something to come tear it apart. What she didn't know was I already had a whole Google Drive folder called Karen Files. Time-stamped. Crystal clear. Labeled. I was building a case. Not just for the HOA, but for the internet. Now here's where it gets really wild. One day, a young Latina woman parks in front of my house. DoorDash brings me a smoothie and a wrap I ordered. As she's handing me the food, Karen storms out of her house, out of nowhere, and starts yelling across the street. "Hey, this is a private neighborhood. You can't park here. This isn't the ghetto." I froze. The DoorDash girl, maybe 20 max, looks terrified. She tries to explain she's just delivering food. But Karen keeps going. "You people don't belong here. I'm calling security." I was done being polite. I stepped forward, phone in hand, already recording. "Ma'am," I said loud and clear, "you are harassing this woman in front of my house in broad daylight, and I have it all on video." Karen turns, sees the red recording dot on my screen, and she snaps. "You think you can threaten me with your little phone?" she shrieks. "I know people in this town. I'll have you kicked out. You don't belong here." Then she spits. Actually spits in my direction. That's when I said, "Oh, you're done." She must have realized how far she crossed the line, because she stormed back to her house, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. The DoorDash girl just stood there shaking. I asked if she was okay. She nodded, barely, then got in her car and drove off. But I wasn't letting it slide. I uploaded the footage. Didn't add my face. Didn't use names. Just labeled it. Racist Karen Harris's DoorDash driver gets exposed. Within hours, it was already climbing. Thousands of views. Then tens of thousands. Comments pouring in. Who is this monster? Name and shame. I hope she gets fired from whatever job she has. And that's when someone dropped a bombshell in the comments. Apparently, Karen wasn't just a stay-at-home housewife with too much free time. She worked part-time at the local private school. As an administrator. I couldn't believe it. A woman like that around kids? No, this wasn't just about my house anymore. This was bigger. And I had one final plan to make sure she never harassed another person like that again. I didn't expect the video to blow up that fast. By the end of the first day, it had over 200,000 views. Day 2, 500,000. People were furious. Comments were flooding in nonstop. Viewers begging to know who she was. Some even claimed they recognized the neighborhood from the background. But then came the big one. Someone posted, "That's Mrs. Simmons. She works at Fairhill Academy. She gave my daughter detention for wearing braids." Boom. Just like that, Karen had a name. And within hours, Fairhill Academy's Yelp and Google pages were on fire. Hundreds of reviews. Parents calling them out, demanding answers, posting screenshots of the video. The school tried to scrub it, but the internet moves fast. Way too fast. And meanwhile, Karen was spiraling. She hadn't left her house in 2 days. No morning dog walks. No passive-aggressive lawn staring. Her blinds were shut like she was barricading herself inside. I thought maybe she got the message. But then Sunday night happened. Around midnight, I heard a crash. Glass. I rushed downstairs, heart pounding, and found my front window smashed. And sitting in the middle of my living room floor was a brick, wrapped in paper, and written in thick, all-caps Sharpie, "Stop lying about me or else." I stood there frozen, staring at that note. That wasn't passive anymore. That was a threat. I called the police, filed a report, showed them the video footage from my porch cam, which caught a figure running off into the dark. They couldn't confirm it was her, but let's be real, I didn't have any other enemies in that neighborhood. The next morning, I sent the footage to the school board. Not the clip from YouTube, the new one. The brick. The threat. I also included timestamps, voice clips, everything I had. That same day, they placed her on administrative leave, and that's when the messages started. First a text from an unknown number. Hope it was worth it. Then a voicemail. "You think you're some kind of hero. You destroyed my life over one video. I have kids, you know. I have a reputation. But people like you don't care, do you? People like me?" That's when I realized she still didn't get it. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't scared of what she'd done. She was scared of finally being seen. And I wasn't done yet. See, while the world was focused on the DoorDash video, I had been quietly editing the rest of the footage. The trash sabotage, the dog harassment, the note on my door. Every petty, disgusting, racist thing she'd done since the day I moved in. I hadn't posted it yet, but I was going to. Not out of revenge, but because people like Karen needed to be documented. And I had one final card to play. Something she'd never see coming. By the time the school placed Karen on leave, the video had passed 1 million views. People were emailing the school board, tagging them on Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. Karen's name was trending. And still, she kept playing the victim. She didn't apologize. She didn't back down. She sent messages blaming me for everything. Tried to act like I ruined her life. Not her behavior. Not her words. Not the brick through my window. No, it was me. That's when I realized something. Karen wasn't just hateful. She was delusional. And people like that, they don't stop until someone makes them. So I dropped the final video. I called it, "Karen, the full story, how one neighbor tried to destroy my life." It was a clean 12-minute timeline. No fluff, just facts. But her calling the cops on day one, a harassing my guests, a dropping trash in my bin, threatening a DoorDash driver, and finally the brick through the window. All time-stamped, all documented. I uploaded it at 9 a.m. By noon, it had 300,000 views. By 6 p.m., her employer officially announced her termination. Done. Fired. Public statement and everything. But here's the twist no one saw coming. A local reporter reached out to me. She was doing a segment on racism in suburban neighborhoods. Asked if I'd be willing to do an interview. I thought about it. I wasn't trying to be famous. I wasn't looking for clout. But I was tired of people like Karen getting away with this kind of thing, year after year, behind their picket fences and PDA smiles. So I said yes. The interview aired that weekend. And suddenly, my inbox was flooded. Not with hate, with stories. Messages from people all over the country. This happened to me, too. My neighbor called the cops just because my kids were playing outside. Thank you for standing up. I wish I had recorded mine. And right then, it hit me. This wasn't just about me and Karen anymore. It was about all the people like her, racist, entitled, and hidden in plain sight. And all the people like me who got told to just ignore it or stay quiet. No, we're done staying quiet. A week later, I walked out to get my mail and saw Karen for the first time since everything blew up. She was dragging trash bags to the curb. No makeup. Hair a mess. Eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. We made eye contact. For once, she didn't say a word. Didn't glare. Didn't smile. She just looked defeated. I nodded once and walked back inside. And in that moment, I knew it was over. Not just the fight with her, but something bigger. I had taken back my peace. And Karen, she got exactly what she earned.